What's going on, y'all? This is your boy Scotty by Nature TV, and we're here for a brand new episode of Yes for the Mess, where we talk about celebrity gossip, hot topics, and all things reality TV based. I hope you guys are having a good Saturday, and I intend on doing the exact same thing, y'all. Let me tell y'all something. Your boy is tired. Okay, I'm tired. I'm supposed to be going to the movies with Jamar today, but I just chose not to go only because of the fact that I just need to like get me some rest. Like I have just been all out of whack since I've been back from Houston, and I'm just trying to get all the rest that I possibly can right about now because I'm just tired. Your boy's exhausted, but it is what it is. But anyways, before we get into anything, let me let you guys know that on tomorrow we're doing the Real Housewives of Atlanta tomorrow. Even though this Monday it would have been Busy's turn to host, but because Busy got some stuff going on Monday, he won't be able to host. So I'll be hosting in his spot, and then the week after that, he'll be hosting. So the Whether You Like It or Not panel will be right back where it started, which is my channel on Monday night. So be on the lookout for that. Okay. Um, and also on Tuesday, y'all know we got Love and Hip Hop Miami and we got Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. So that's all that really matters at this particular point, y'all. Okay. So with that being said, that's all that we got. So let's go ahead and get into the mess of it all because that's what we're here for. Now, wrong one. So we're here to talk about JD and Xscape. Now he got some people up in arms about the statement that he made on one of my favorite podcasts, which is a podcast by Tank and Jay Valentine, which is called R&B Money. Now, y'all know that I love all things music. Y'all know that. So, of course, R&B Money would be my favorite podcast. I love R&B Money, and I love the other podcast. What's it called? We Sound Crazy, and I think it has like Claude Kelly on there, Phil Thornton, all of them. I love those kind of podcasts where we get different gems about the history of these songs and how they were made and what went into making the songs and stuff like that. So I love those type of podcasts, honestly. But I know this ain't got nothing to do with what I like as a podcast and nothing like that. But I just had to put that out there. But anyway, um, so he did the R&B Money podcast, and he had a whole segment about Xscape. Now, people are up in arms because JD said that he had a difficult time breaking the group Xscape because people thought that they were ugly as a girl group. So we're gonna get into what he actually said. And I'm going to try to break it down for y'all after y'all hear what he said. So let's get into what JD had to say about Xscape. Let's get into it, y'all.
Xscape was tough, and it was a hard group because people didn't think they was cute. Biggie had made dreams of and Xscape bitches. That was hard.
Right,
Like
right.
I'm out
Yeah,
here
yeah.
dealing with this, right? So I took a stand that was like, okay, they ugly, cool. Find me somebody that can sing better than them, right? I start acting like just going off of their talent, pure talent. Um, but yeah, it was hard. It wasn't, In Vogue was out at
Yeah.
the time,
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
right? So Xscape coming out when In Vogue is out, these little girls, they look like hood, this to the third. They don't that ain't flying. And Xscape is young, right? It's another thing. Xscape is a young group. I'm making R&B music, and R&B radio told Columbia that the music sounded too young. Xscape was tough, and it was a hard group because
So once again, that was JD on the R&B Money podcast talking about Xscape and how it was difficult to break them in the early 90s because of the way that they looked. Now, a lot of people in the comments are trying to come at JD and trying to say that, he's trying to embarrass the group by saying that they ugly and stuff like that. And I know what my title says, but it's just me doing a little bit of clickbait trying to get people to watch the video. Let's be honest. JD's not calling them ugly. JD said that people thought that they were ugly, and that's why it was hard to break them as a group. And if we're going to be honest about said thing, that is very true. People did say that Xscape was ugly as a girl group. It all really started with Biggie Smalls. He made the record saying that he'll group out before he them ugly Xscape bitches. That was the line that was said. And not to mention they did discuss this on Unsung, as a matter of fact. They did talk about this on Unsung. According to JD, when they was doing the Unsung on Xscape, It was mainly like New York radio stations that was always, tearing down Xscape, talking about the way they look, talking about their clothes, how they look like men, and stuff like that. If you really look at their old videos, they did had that roughneck look. Like if you look at the Just Kicking It video, they had the roughneck look. If you look at the Understanding video, they had the roughneck look. If you look at the Love on My Mind video, they had the roughneck look. But back then, that was the style where women were wearing cross color clothes, baggy jeans, and stuff like that. Because if you want to be honest about it, Mary J. Blige had that same look. SWV had that same look. But the thing about it is, I think that colorism also plays a part in this whole situation, because if you think about it, Escape's look began to change when they came out with their second album, Off the Hook. Now, they had their first video, Feel So Good, where they were rolling around in the water. Now, as you can see, because I don't want no copyrights, as you can see, this is the Feel So Good video. Feel So Good was the very first single off the Off the Hook album. That video was a complete contrast from what they were used to doing on Hummin' Coming At You. And we all know that Hummin' Coming At You had Just Kicking It, all them vibes on there, right? That's what, Hummin' Coming At You had on there. So this was completely different from what they were used to. And this is when they started getting more visually appealing to the masses. And not only that, their image got even greater when they came out with Traces of My Lipstick and they had the My Little Secret video. Now, ugly. And I want y'all to be out, and I'm going to be completely transparent. I remember when I had older cousins and stuff like that. Like a lot of people may not realize it, but Escape was a big thing. They wasn't as mainstream as a In Vogue or SWV or TLC, but they were a big thing. A lot, but I may feel like they were a big thing because I'm from the South. And down here in the South, we loved Escape in the South, especially in Mississippi. We loved Escape. Most people that I knew, they had Escape albums. So sometimes it's always very hard for me when I hear people on the internet saying that they never really just heard of Escape like that until Candy got on the Housewives of Atlanta, or they wasn't really familiar with Escape like that. I remember talking to Jamar one day, and I think this was at the beginning of when we were doing the prelude at the very beginning. And I mentioned the group Escape, and I think because we were doing pop culture at the time, and we was talking about the group Escape and different songs by them, and he wasn't even aware of Escape like that. But that could be because he was from Michigan when Escape was out. He was living in Michigan when Escape was out. It could be a regional thing, because back then some groups were bigger in certain regions than they were in others. Like Escape was huge down south. We heard, I know I was too young to remember how much they played Just Kicking It. But I do know for a fact that Who Can I Run To got major play down here. I know that My Little Secret was played a lot down here. The Arms of the One Who Loves You played a lot down here. Like all that, Do You Want To, all that was played a lot down south. I do know that. But I do know that Understanding was played a lot too, because I remember being like 5 years old, singing it all the time. And then my cousins would play it all the time. So that's how I got even introduced to Xscape, was through my cousins, because my older cousins had a whole lot of albums. They always listened to a lot of music. So that's why I was so in tune with a lot of music. That's why people be like, Scotty, you're so young, but you know so much about these 90s artists and 90s R&B. Well, blame that on my mama and blame it on my older cousins, because they played those albums a lot. So I was able to grow up with that. But Escape was one of those groups that were great, but they were overshadowed by a lot of the other talent that was out at that time. When you think about it, Escape came out in 93, okay? And Vogue came out in 90. TLC dropped in 1992, and so did SWV. And then Escape comes out in 93. Escape was huge. TLC was huge. SWV was huge, but not as huge as the other two groups. Then you got Xscape. Now let's think about it. Hold on to your love. You got to hold on. And then you got Baby, Baby, Baby. And then you got I get so wicked. You got that, right? But then you have Every Man Wants a Woman, where him and her can just go hang. You got that, right? So when you're in this era of the girl groups and you hear a song like Just Kicking It versus a song like Weak versus a song like Baby, Baby, Baby versus a song like Hold On. Xscape is gonna get lost in the sauce, not because the music is bad, but because they did not have a universal sound, and they was boxed in just for the urban audience only. Well, you had SWV, who had mainstream records with like Weak and Right Here, then TLC. They had mainstream records with all their records. Ain't Too Proud to Beg. What About Your Friends? Baby, Baby, Baby. And then of course in Vogue, Hold On. Like, they had mainstream records, but Xscape, why they were able to solidify fan base, because all three of their albums went platinum, they still got lost in the sauce because they were boxed in. And that even tended to happen on YouTube. I'm just going to be honest and say, when I first started, it was me, Justin, as far as LGBT male reviewers, it was me, it was Justin, James Colwell, Sean Bradley. We were all starting off at the same time. While Justin was leading the pack, I was way in the back. So I got lost in the sauce with all of those big characters and big personalities. I got lost in the sauce because me and Justin started at the same time. We were, well, Kingeries. We started at the same time. We were working together. We kind of built each other up. And then, he kind of took off really quickly. And I didn't have the same work ethic that I do now. So I was placed in the back and I was boxed in. Like I was really just playing it safe, but now I'm not playing it safe anymore. I'm dabbling into the music. I'm dabbling into the gossip now. It's not just about, reality TV reviews, but that's one of those things. Like sometimes content creators can get lost in the sauce when there's a lot of them that's the same. So that's what happened with Xscape. And people did think that they were ugly and they were forced to change their looks. Even now, when JD said it, I saw people on social media say, well, yeah, they were ugly. So what he said wasn't a lie. People did think that they were ugly. And a lot of the times when you're thinking about the music industry or any other industry, looks and image is very important. And if you don't have a good image, or if you don't look a certain way, you're not going to make it too far. And that's even with YouTube. I had to stop doing every single video with just a wife beater on. I had to come on here and have some clothes on. I could still get away with a wife beater on if I got on a jacket, but I couldn't just get on here and still, because I would see the comments, like people would say, oh, he needs some decent looking clothes. Them dusty ass wife beaters ain't gonna cut it. That's why ain't nobody watching him. I've seen people say that about other content creators and things like that. And image is a big thing. You have to look a certain way. You have to be presentable. You have to have this squeaky clean thing going on in order for people to want to be interested in you. And that was going on back then, and that's still a thing now. So everything that JD was saying, it was true, but I really would love it if Xscape gets their just due and get the credit that they deserve. I do think that they are kind of getting it now, but I still feel like sometimes they fall in the shadows of groups like SWV or TLC, because even when you bring up Xscape, they always try to tear them down or underrate them for the most part, but they were the jam too. And I'm going to always fight for my Xscape. But anyway, y'all, that was pretty much all that we got. I'll be going live later about Kenya Moore's video. But be sure to like, rate, comment, subscribe, share this video, and also click on the notification bell so you can be notified whenever a video drops. And if you want to follow me on any form of social media, my Twitter, my Instagram, and my TikTok will be down below. With that being said, you guys, your boys up out here, and I will talk to you guys on the next one. Bye.
It's on some whole shit. What happened to the Zeus fame? Then Bobby made you change your name. For a show, still searching for a ring. Pray these hoes find better days. Cut off everybody. Don't trust nobody. Play with everybody. Don't have nobody. Cut off everybody. Don't trust nobody. Play with everybody. Don't have nobody. Nobody. Nigga never was a real one. Copping, please, spreading lies. What you hiding from? All these shows just an extra.
Little dance now, twerking no shit like bad bitch, munch it up, cock goblin. Slapping ass on this dick, cock goblin. Gobble up his dick, bitch, a cock goblin. Fuck him in his face, bitch, a cock goblin. Attitude bad, but I'm better. Ass poke out just fatter.